Hey, it's Don here from the board, and well, hopefully you enjoyed that time lapse of me putting together the GNGKB75 Ergo, which is what we've got on the table below. Now, it took me 2 hours and 58 minutes to put it together. I didn't follow my own build instructions, funnily enough, so if you kind of saw what I did there, I put in the switches before I put in the diodes, and I realized how dumb I was when I did that. So I kind of had to get a bit creative, and I bent the diodes, cut them to length so it would go through the PCB, but not too far to hit the plate, and then I soldered them in. Then I struggled all sorts of left, right, and center with actually getting the case on and together. But the happy thing is, at the end of the day, it works. The whole keyboard works. It works as intended in that it is a Alice inspired 75% keyboard. Now, this is the reason why we do prototyping, and this is not at all a criticism of Idyllic, who put this case together, because he's working purely off the files that I gave him, which only had switch positions. There was some stuff that was lost in translation a little bit in regards to the key layout. So there's some blockers here down in between, which they actually should be open positions because the layout was meant to be a 1.5 there and 1.5 there. But he's put in the blockers on the assumption that it would be closer to like a traditional Alice type layout. And there are some other, unfortunate things like the gap space on the ends here is just a touch too tight, in that you can make the switch go down, but then it doesn't return because it's just getting caught on the edge of that. So a little bit of fine tuning on the case files will kind of fix that. But other than that, it built really well, and the board, it works. It works. So I'm pretty happy with how that is. The only other thing is it can do with an extra layer, and now I've got that caps lock stuck. There we go. Because what we weren't 100% sure of was this new version of the Elite C has the actual port in the middle of the Elite C controller, whereas the previous version of that Elite C, it was actually underneath. So we thought we could have got away without having to have an extra layer with the open ring in between, but that is not the case, in the sense that I can get the cable in and it works. It just means it's very tight, and it is actually wedged at slightly an angle. And while the case did come with angled feet, what I found was that and you can, because the keyboard's plugged in. There we go. So there's these 3 holes that were designed for the actual tenting to give it angle, but it was actually contacting the Elite C and shorting. So I took that off, and I don't have a problem with it being flat angled at all. They're perfectly fine to type on. I didn't realize how much movement this potentially had as well, so when I stuck the feet on, I should have stuck it closer to that side, because it does give a little bit more, shall we say, flex over on this side than I kind of wanted. But it's an acrylic case. Like, you can give it a bit of, twist and flex just to straighten it up. Now, I know it's not very pretty, and you can see all these bits in it, and it's all smudged and stuff like that. That's on me. I wasn't very careful. I just put it together. I could have cleaned it and wiped it, and I still can. I can still take all of these pieces apart, and I can clean it, wipe it, wear white gloves, and put it back together, and it'll be nice and neat. But other than that, I think it's okay. So, yeah. Okay build, except for me stuffing up. I didn't solder in the Elite C, so you'll see that thanks to the fact that we have a clear top, there's actually no solder there, because I'm using a zigzag footprint that was developed for these kind of controllers, and they're a friction fit. I've talked about it on another build before, where I used this footprint for the Elite C for the first time, and I think there's also the zigzag footprint for the Pro Micro, but it works a treat. So if anything had gone wrong with this, I wouldn't have the pain of having to desolder the Elite C completely. I could have just taken that out and reused it or put it back into another PCB if I needed to, and so on and so forth. So zigzag footprint is awesome. Zigzag footprint is awesome. That's it. That is the primary build. Now, encoder up here on the top corner. I don't have actual knobs for it because the last time I worked with a rotary encoder, I 3D printed my own large dial for it. So that's just going to live there bare, but it does work as the media key as intended, because my wife actually said, oh, well, what does that do? And I showed her rotating it turns volume up and down. And at the moment, the press down is a nothing. So I'm not accustomed to an Alice type layout, because even though I have the down bubble, which is a split ergonomic layout, kind of similar-ish to this, it isn't the same because the end and the modifiers are not in line with that rotation that my down bubble is. This has this angular and then a straightening out break. So when you're typing in this, the ends here are a little bit different compared to being slightly higher up that I would be accustomed to. But for the purposes of giving you the sound test, as well as just seeing how badly I stuff up on this, because there is two B's here as well, I'm going to just do a very simple typing test, and we will see how horrible it goes. So it's in, it's on, it's working, it's connected. So I'm going to, what I'll do is I'll do the front facing one so it's nice and close and you can hear what it sounds like. Now I built these with the cream switches in it, and you'll get to hear what stock cream switches sound like in the GNGKB75 ergonomic. So let's drag my Titan test over, and here we go, hopefully. Oh, restart the test. There we go. Ah. Well, that was pretty abysmal at 23 words per minute. I think there's a bit of the gap spacing there. It is a little bit wider than I think what a traditional Alice was, but we weren't really sure about the rotation, and I'm kind of glad that I hadn't pushed it all the way up, because the 3 and 2 key would have actually contacted, whereas on this side, if we'd gone just a touch over, also the 1.5 would have been impacted. So let's just swing that around so it's a bit more towards, say, a person's head position for typing. Okay, so that's going to be a bit closer to where my head would be. So that was a short 30 seconds as well. I did a little bit better there at 28, but because I don't type with perfect or more traditionally good touch typing technique, pinky use is really shocking. So I think that's what's really throwing me off, is because I'm not using my pinky for these end keys when I really should be using my pinky for those end keys, and it really shows. I'm getting very badly punished for that because I'm not utilizing these keys the way that they should be, and I'm kind of like hitting the wrong spot. Overall, look, I'm sure I could get used to this if I continue to typing with this. I'm not accustomed to the bottom row layout either, because my control is there with pinky, but I'm not getting that with this. Other than that, I probably could adapt to it, but we'll see what I end up doing with this. Now, talking with Idyllic already, I've already notified him of the things I've found with this prototype, so we'll work together from there, and hopefully once this is ready to go, we will actually put it up and make it available on the keyboard treehouse. At least that's going to be my plan. And yeah, if you're interested in this keyboard, this layout, this design, then go check it out at the keyboard treehouse. So thanks very much for checking out this video, this keyboard, this build. I hope you enjoyed the journey of seeing this come together, I suppose. And of course, as usual, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button if you want somebody else who's into Alice keyboard type layouts, so they can see this as well. Rightio, we're done. Thanks again, and of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.